When I was 28, I became a plant production director. I was leading 120 employees across 4 different departments, and all of them were older than I was. One of my department managers was 59. He had 40 years of experience in the company in several different management positions. So yeah, I had my work cut out for me. This was going to be one of the hardest leadership challenges that I've ever faced. It took me 6 months, but I managed to gain his trust. We worked well together until the end. My end, not his. So how did I manage to do that? By using the following 5 steps. First, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. Leading older people sucks. Everything is working against you. Your youth, your inexperience, their history, and maybe even their resentment towards you. But worst of all are all of the assumptions. You may be hearing some comments as in, what does this kid even know? Why is he even talking? Stay out of our way and we're gonna do our job. You're greener than this apple. I should have been promoted instead of you. He must have had connections to get this job. How much sucking up did he actually do? It's all just luck, and he's gonna fail anyway. Whether that's said out loud or if it's just in the air, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is that if you're not ready and careful, these comments can lead to negativity and a negative mindset, which is actually gonna cause you to fail. So in order to prevent this, let's go to step number 1. So I would advise you to do all of the steps at the same time right away, but you can postpone steps 3 and 5 until after you're done with your onboarding. In step 1, I acknowledge the age and the experience gap. So I came to this department manager and I told him, hey, you're old enough to be my parent, and you have 40 years of experience while I have 0 in this industry. You have more experience than I've been alive at this point. And that's pretty much step 1. You just need to acknowledge the age and the experience gap. Because, like it or not, the people that are older than you will want to hear that. Even though they may not know that they want to hear that, they need to hear that. And this is gonna make your life, just as it's made my life, so much easier. From step 1, we go directly to step 2. And if at all possible, we start using step 2 in the same conversation that we're using step 1. So when we acknowledge their experience and their age, what we pretty much wanna do is ask their permission that we can actually go to them and ask them questions, input. When we hit a challenge, you want those people to be on your side. You want to treat them as partners who can advise you. There are 2 things when a person like this gives you advice that you need to do. Either you need to accept the advice and actually implement it, or you accept the advice and tell him at that point or after some reflection time on why you didn't actually heed his advice. Because what's that going to do is that you still acknowledge that, yes, I thought about this advice, but I couldn't implement it because of A, B, and C. One time I was actually in a completely different department and I was looking at some of the products, the way they were arranged and stuff, just looking. And he came just by me and he was like, hey, these are not that well positioned and you could do this and this and this and actually make it way more effective for the workers to actually find the actual products that they need to continue working on their machines. I actually completely forgot about this, but I did mention it to the other department manager and told her, hey, let's try and switch this. And then I forgot about it completely. And I think a couple of months later, the guy was like, oh, I saw that you heeded my advice. And I could see that he was happy and proud of himself that first, he gave me that advice, and secondly, that I actually listened and implemented it. So step 3 is that you should empower your people, not micromanage. And this one you can do after your onboarding because literally like you will not understand what's happening, especially I didn't because I was completely new to the electrical industry and it took me a couple of months before I even got my footing around. I could still do and make decisions and everything else, but I didn't know exactly what was happening. So I had a huge learning curve pretty much from then on. Now, what I did right away is because they were all way more experienced than I was, I laid out the goals and expectations. What were the monthly quotas, what were the quarterly quotas, and what were the yearly goals? And I separated throughout my 4 departments, and I just made sure that they had their plans, that they knew what they were doing, and that they were cooperating amongst each other. So if you want to know more about micromanaging, you can actually check a couple of my videos where I go way more into depth about this topic. In step 4, you want to connect with your employees, your subordinates, as a human. Don't just show up when there's a problem and just ask them to solve it. So the way I manage this with this specific department manager is I ask him, hey, you want to grab a coffee? You want to grab some tea? Whatever you want. You want to go up for a smoke? Sure, I'll go there and I'm just going to talk to you, even though I don't smoke. I was asking questions. I was really curious about what he did, how he did this. And if he had something that he wanted to show me, even though I may have not had the time at that point, unless I had a critical meeting that I needed to go or do something really critical, I was like, sure, let's go and take a look. And we went through his production department, through every single person. And of course, I talked with every single one of them. But you could see, I was able to see how proud he was when he was showing me all of this. I was asking him questions. I was deferring to him on what he was saying because I recognized and acknowledged him as an authority in his field. And this is the way I connected to him. In step 5, I need to draw the line. I'm still in charge. It doesn't matter if I have no experience, if I'm just a young person at 28 and I'm leading a person who's 59 or older. At the end of the day, I'm still the leader and I'm still acting like it. I will be making clear decisions and I will own the outcomes. I'm going to own the worst possible outcomes, but I'm still going to give praise to all the success to every other employee and every other manager that I'm leading. But I will always make sure that all of the critical decisions are always mine and they will be followed. I don't allow people just to say, okay, cool, whatever you say, Blaž, but then I'm just going to do something else because I think it's better, because they may not have the whole picture. And I will make sure that they respect that. And even though at that time I was really young, it doesn't mean that I had to be soft, that I had to defer all the decisions on my subordinates and that I would let those subordinates just run circles around me and just decide instead of me. No, I'm going to be asking them for their advice on any decisions that I have to make. But the decisions that I need to make are going to be final and everybody needs to be following them. And I will not shrink away from that role. And neither should you. Even though you may have the worst imposter syndrome ever. I had it as well. But you need to make those decisions, because if you don't make those decisions, you're going to become irrelevant and you're actually going to become just a placeholder, a person with just a name and last name and no authority whatsoever. And then you're really going to be living up to those comments that they've made about you. You were placed in this position because somebody believed in you. Believe in yourself. And remember, as a young leader managing older, more experienced people, you don't need to out-experience them. You don't need to out-talk them. You just need to be there, listen to them, and make the decisions that everybody else is going to be respecting. And the way you do this is by following the 5 steps that I just outlined in this video. It took me 6 months to get the trust of this department manager. But if you want to do it faster, you can check out this video over here.